Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days in today's video. We've got some very warm weather coming up at the weekend, possibly. May well see temperatures getting up to 90 Fahrenheit across some parts of the country. At the weekend it does look very hot indeed, but before we get to that we have got some very disturbed weather to come this week. Anyway, I'll get on with all the detail in a moment. So we'll talk about the advertising. There'll usually be a video ad overlaying my web videos at gavsweathervids.com. Please play those video ads. You'll be supporting gavsweathervids.com by doing that. So the first thing we're going to look at is the 500 millibar height anomaly charts, as we usually do for these 8 to 10 day videos, and we can see that in 8 to 10 days time we're looking at above average heights here, generally to the east and to the south of the country. This is the East MWF here on the left, GFS on the right. Should just explain that 500 millibars, 18 pounds per feet is area in the atmosphere where we get high pressure, low pressure developing. It's as those high pressure, low pressure areas are moved around by a jet stream running above that gives us our weather in basic, simple terms. So above average heights indicated here by the orange and red colours, and those above average heights are where we'd like to be seeing above average pressure, so high pressure. And we've got the blue colours, that's where we're seeing below average heights, and that's where we're likely to be seeing low pressure. So for 8 to 10 days time, the anomaly is for the high pressure to be to the south and to the east of the country. We've got a bit of a trough though to the west of the country in 8 to 10 days time. That may just be bringing cooler weather and more unsettled weather in off the Atlantic, but really there's a lot of high pressure anticyclonic influences going on here, both to the east and to the south of the country. Now for the GFS, again it's a similar situation. We perhaps haven't got the heights quite as extensive to the east of the country, but we have got more extensive heights to the south, and generally much of central southern parts of England and Wales are in these above average heights. And high pressure really is dominating, the above average heights really dominating the bulk of central and southern Europe. We have got the jet stream running across the British Isles, so we haven't got as weak as above average heights. The heights are weaker up to the northeast of the country and to the north generally on this chart. So this is perhaps indicating slightly more unsettled weather to the north of the country, but even so, high pressure above average heights still in control to the south. Now, if we have a look at the GFS ensembles, we can see that we're going to be pushing up well above average once we get through towards the weekend. This red line here is average, and we can see that all the lines at the moment are around the red line, so temperatures actually aren't far from the seasonal average, a little bit above where they should be, but not desperately hot. But as we go through towards the middle of the week, we are going to find those temperatures briefly pushing up quite well above average, and that's associated with this precipitation spike down here. That's a big area of low pressure, big Atlantic storm that's getting going, and that's going to be feeding in, or it's going to be fed by some very warm air associated with that spike in the temperatures there. Once that low pressure goes through, the temperatures then push back down towards the seasonal average. The line is going towards seasonal average, but then from the 17th, look how those temperatures shoot upwards, and they peak around the 19th, 20th of August. That is at the weekend. It's going to be a very, very warm weekend, as I was saying at the start of the video. If this comes off, we could well be seeing temperatures up to 90 Fahrenheit across some southern and southeastern parts of the country this weekend. But then as we go through in towards beyond that, we do find those lines beginning to dip back again, and they start to go back down towards the seasonal average. So we probably see the temperatures peaking at the weekend, and then they start to level off as we go in towards the second week of the period, and we can see the lines then going back towards average. Well, there's still a lot of scatter here, so don't be surprised if you was to see a continuation of some warm weather even beyond the weekend actually. Manchester ensemble, very similar. We don't push the temperature spike up quite as much as we do in London at the weekend, but even so, very, very warm weekend is on the way if this is correct. Temperature anomalies for the next week, and we can see that we are going to be well above average for the next week. We're looking at temperatures 2 to 4 degrees above the seasonal average for the next week, so it is going to be a very warm, very hot week, and most of that is coming over the weekend actually. And we're not alone. Much of Western Europe actually very warm scene. In fact, the whole of Europe very warm scene. You have to go right way down to this eastern and southeastern part of the continent to find the temperatures below average. It's a complete switch around on what we're seeing from much of summer, you'll remember, when most of this map was coloured blue. Very, very quickly the temperatures have swung the other way and we've gone red. Just going to show you how quickly things can change in the terms of weather. So for temperature anomalies for the next week, we're going to be around or above average. I'm going to have quite a wet week, and most of that is coming on Wednesday. Has to be said, Wednesday's still looking like being a very wet day across most of the British Isles, but we see that the bulk of the continent actually in these red colours, so actually it's a very dry and hot scene this week across many parts of Europe. So just having a look at how all this worked out in terms of the weather charts, we can see that for Saturday we've got this area of low pressure out to the west of the country, but the main thing is high pressure to the south and the east, pulling up very warm, very hot air from the south. Now we have got a weather front lying across the British Isles, so northern and western parts of the country always more cloudier over the weekend with some showery rain, but in this southeastern and southern part of the country those temperatures really are pushing up strongly at the weekend, really are in some very hot weather indeed. And as we go through towards a week's time, Monday the 20th of June, Monday the 20th of August I should say, we start to see the high pressure beginning to flatten off then, and the low pressure in the Atlantic possibly bring cooler weather in from the west. It will be a welcome relief though if that does happen. As we go through to 10 days time, Thursday the 23rd of June, but we've still got anticyclonic influence here across these southern parts of the country, but it is starting to look more and more cooler and unsettled up to the north, really more and more autumnal really, with this these green colours in here indicating that pressure and temperature are beginning to fall over the Arctic, and that's, as I say, more an indication of what we should be seeing at the end of August. But even by this point, Thursday the 23rd of August, we could well be still seeing some quite warm weather across southern parts of the country. ECMWF, and again it's a very similar situation for Saturday the 18th. We've got low pressure on Saturday out in the Atlantic, we've got high pressure to the east, we're pulling up this very, very warm, very hot southerly wind. And as we go through towards Sunday the 19th, we can see that we're still bringing in this southerly wind. This is perhaps a little bit more thundery, might bring up some sort of thundery type feature from the south, but it's still a very warm or hot scene really across much of England, Wales in particular, though it's cooler and more unsettled up to the north. And then if we have a look at the upper air temperatures, we can see we've got some very warm, hot upper air temperatures here across much of England and Wales, most of England and Wales within the 15 Celsius isotherm, 20 Celsius isotherm getting into the southeast. That is indicating temperatures could well be pushing up to 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius on Sunday. So that really is very hot indeed for the time of year, probably the peak of the summer temperatures actually, of the temperatures for the year. Then as we go through towards a week's time, Monday the 20th, we bring slightly cooler weather back in from the northwest, and then it's a case of watching that high pressure flattening off and the low pressure beginning to re-establish to the north of the country, bring cooler, fresher weather back by Thursday the 23rd of August. Finally, having a look at the Canadian model of GM. Again, it's a similar situation. We bring the heat up from the south on Sunday, a very warm day, hot day on Sunday. Then things flattening off as we go through to Monday the 20th and through to Thursday the 23rd. Well, it's a case of seeing cooler weather coming down from the north. This area of low pressure could be bringing some rain, but that's a bit speculative. But before we get to any of this, we do have to worry about the weather on Wednesday. A very deep area of low pressure there on Wednesday. It is looking very wet indeed on Wednesday. I'll be doing a video on that tomorrow because it's be coming into the high resolution models from the Met Office, so we'll be looking at Wednesday's weather again in more detail tomorrow. So that's it. It does look as though we are in for some very warm weather at the weekend. Again, another pulse of hot air coming up from the south, hotter than we've had this weekend actually. Temperatures may well push up to 90 Fahrenheit. No, this isn't good news for some of you don't like the heat, but temperatures pushing up towards 90 Fahrenheit at the weekend. Beyond that, it probably cools off and the cooler, fresh weather re-establishes from the Atlantic once we get through to the third week of August. And then beyond that, in towards the end of the month, it probably gets cooler and more unsettled. But certainly the weekend looking very warm. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.